Just about a year removed from the Tokyo Olympics, already thinking about Paris 2024. The best gymnasts in America have gathered here in Tampa, Florida, the 2022 OOFOS U.S. Gymnastics Championships. Amalie Arena, where the Lightning play, and the top names that you know already from having starred at the Olympics, or maybe some names that you're not too familiar with that will play a large role in this Olympic cycle. Terry Gannon alongside Tim Daggett, the Olympic champ. It is good to see you, my friend. It's been a while.
Same here.
Back at the U.S. National Championship, so much at stake. I know it's that first step. Names like Brody Malone, Donnell Wittenberg that we know, others, Asher Hong maybe that some people don't quite know yet, they'll get to know. Yo Moldauer, this is that step, but also so much at stake because it is, at the end of the night, at the end of the week, a national championship on the line.
Absolutely, and every young man, every young woman in the sport of gymnastics, one of the dreams, one of the goals is absolutely to be called champion of the USA, and that's on the line tonight.
The 80s were good to you, my friend. I remember, and eventually the Olympics and a gold medal for Team USA as well. Brody Malone, who's already been to the Olympics, made his first Olympic team in Tokyo, one of the stars. I mean, you talk about emerging last year as the man to take over. Sam McCulloch kind of owned the title for much of the last decade, but this man right now is the guy everybody's looking at.
Absolutely, and they should be, because he is amazing. He does so many things so well, but I think his best quality, he's just got like that chip in his head that nothing seems to rattle him. He can be in the biggest moment of his life, and he looks exactly like he does in a walk in a park.
And it's funny talking to him, too. We spent some time with him yesterday. He's like that in conversation as well. I'm sure there's a lot going on inside. Anxiety, everybody gets nervous, but you can't tell by just watching him compete. The 22-year-old from Somerville, Georgia, and now a star also at Stanford.
And, you know, he's going for a repeat here. He won the national all-around title last year, the first part of the Olympic trials. And he has upgraded a lot of difficulty on still rings. All of the strength parts, when you're holding your body, you want to hold for at least 2 seconds. That's called a Maltese. Pretty good. This is tricky right here. Not quite there yet, and he is going to really get clipped on that because he did not hold that inverted cross. This is Stradalel. He's kind of just catching his breath. Beautiful. Legs together, plange. Another thing Brody is great at, along with a lot of other things, is he's really good in the air, has a great kinesthetic awareness. Double-double. Just a small little hop on that, but this is going to be really interesting because he definitely fell out of that strength part and didn't hold it at all.
10th in the all-around at the Olympics. Left there disappointed, though, at the outcome. Asher Hong, an 18-year-old from Texas. So we talked about Brody Malone being a star at Stanford in the national championships there. This man headed to Stanford, and boy, the potential here.
Unbelievable. And he is about to do, actually not even just one vault, but two that are so world-class, medal contending. This is in crazy, crazy difficult. Oh my goodness. Unbelievable. 3 flips around with a full twist. When I was doing gymnastics, Terry, if you had told me that someone was going to do that, I would have said, well, you obviously don't understand the sport of gymnastics because that's impossible. Watch, 3 times around from the board, double back with a full twist at the end.
Wow.
Stays in bounds. The lines are in bounds. If you step over them, it's a deduction, but this, I can't even tell you. I saw him starting to train this about a year ago, and I was blown away.
You had a couple of vaults here. Second one does not go up on the board in terms of counting here. By the way, big picture-wise, yes, national championship on the line, but also this apart, the scores at least will be taken into consideration for the World Championships too, and who makes up the U.S. team that'll go compete at Worlds.
And this young man, he absolutely has the potential to do that. I'm hopeful that he does. I think he helps Team USA in so many areas. He'll do another very, very difficult vault. 3.5 twists on this. Nicely done. Nicely done. Maybe was a little bit better in warm-ups, but I'll tell you what, those 2 vaults in a World Championship finals, in an Olympic finals, they are in the hunt for a medal. Little bit of form, but great rebound off the table. Got to get that twist all the way around. You see the footsteps over the line.
Yep. So the step at the end. We saw there have been some competitions since the Olympics, high-level competitions, including the Winter Cup and Asher Hong, the vault champ, at the 2022 Winter Cup. Just beginning to really watch him excel. As we head over to Shane Wiskus next, another man that we saw compete at the Olympics in Tokyo, the 23-year-old from Spring Park, Minnesota.
And you know, he said he dreamed his whole life of getting to the Olympic Games, and it was so magical and so special to have that happen. But then coming home empty-handed, he said it left him a little bit depressed, down. Easier vault than we saw from Asher. That's a 2.5 twist. Asher's is 0.8 higher in a maximum starting score because he does another full twist added on top of it.
By the way, Asher Hong, the score for that first vault, 16.63 with that bonus.
Yes, it's
You're smiling and shaking your head.
that is a monumental number. This is a good vault, pretty good power, a little bit of form in the air, as you see. Knees a little bit bent, but a good start for Shane. He has not really had the best of competitions this year. Recently at the US Classic, struggled a little bit and wasn't at his best at the Pan American Championships as well.
US vault champ back in 2019. So different athletes at different levels in terms of their fitness coming in here this week. You try to peak at the right time. This is certainly one of the events that you're trying to peak at, but on that 4-year cycle, if you're a Brody Malone or a Shane Wiskus, for example, you might be at a different spot.
Yeah, and you know, I talked a little bit about Brody missing that one element on the still rings. His goal is not really here. He is preparing himself right now to be doing difficult enough stuff to be a contender in the all-around in 2024. And so he's going to get a little stronger. He's going to be able to hold that.
Shane Wiskus, the number 14.1 on vault.
And you see the significant difference in the scores.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
So what USA Gymnastics has decided to do, and Riley is actually, he told me he's a very big fan of this, they are taking the real starting score, the maximum score, and they are encouraging the guys to push the envelope early on in this quad so that by the time Paris rolls around, they'll be competitive maximum score-wise with the top 3 teams, Russia, China, and Japan.
So Riley Loos on still rings underway, the 21-year-old from El Dorado Hills, California. Also a member of that powerhouse Stanford Cardinal team.
And he is fabulous on rings, great positions. He was part of that team, as you mentioned, that won the NCAA title 3 years in a row this year, but he also got the nod, the top spot NCAA champion on rings this year. Very solid routine. Just dismount, double-double. Oh, I'll tell you what, this is a guy that you should not ignore. He thinks that he has what it takes to be a major player on Team USA, and I think I agree with him.
Won that individual NCAA championship on still rings and recently at the US Classic, another one of those high-level events coming into this US championships. Was 3rd on rings and vault 7th in the all-around.
He had another dream come true for himself. If you're a gymnast, you want to go to USA Nationals, win it. You want to go to the Olympics, Worlds. You also, if you can put your stamp on the rule book. He has a move named after him now for pommel horse.
Son, 18-year-old in Asher Hong earlier. How about Fred Richard from Massachusetts? Certainly a rising star and one of those names that people mention right away when you think about that next generation.
No, absolutely. Fred is unbelievable. I'm from Massachusetts as well. I had the pleasure, the honor to watch him growing up through the sport of gymnastics. And like Asher Hong, who is also very young, he has an uncanny ability to do some of the hardest routines in the world at such a young age already. We'll get started right here. Big release. That was great. Another one, this one in a tucked position. Now some releases, he's gonna try to combine them. There's 2 in a row right there. A little bit of bent elbows, which is going to cost him, but unbelievable difficulty. As I said, he is a very much up-and-comer. He missed the handstand on that by quite a bit, at least 3/10. And that was another mistake right there as well. Very unusual. Hop on the landing, 3/10 of a step. If it's more than 1 foot, it's a 3/10 step, less than a foot, 1/10 on the men's side. But beautiful, huge release. This is called a Casina double flip in the laid out position with a twist. He did 2 in a row. He was hopeful that he could do all 3 of them together, but you see him bend his elbows right there. That is a deduction as well. And then right after this, he kind of fumbles his grip a little bit.
You're reminding me, by the way, how picky the judges are. Because,
yes.
I mean, in real time, it's easy to miss these things.
Yes, it is. So watch this full spin, and he kind of just misses the bar. And I bet he hasn't done that in about 3 years. And he's talking to his coach, Levon, right now, and they're saying, what was that?
Absolutely fantastic on the junior level of Pan American Championships in 2022 and 2021 U.S. Junior Championships too, Fred Richard. Back with a look at the number for Fred Richard on high bar, 14.666, Tim.
Well, he has such a very high execution. You see that 6.3 right there. That's the difficulty. But because he is doing so much stuff, they actually add over a point onto that score.
1.116 bonus included in that number. All right, how about Colt Walker, the 21-year-old from Cedar Park, Texas. And you get the theme here, another member of the Stanford team.
Yes, absolutely. And he has really made a remarkable run, just gotten so much better so quickly. Very strong and physical young man. Remember, every strength part, you want to see 2 seconds of non-movement at all, and both of those excellent. Was actually second at the U.S. Classic to Brody in the all-around. Definitely a contender for that world team spot. Nice handstand position. And very calm. You see how still the rings are? There's no swinging and there's no extra shaking. Double-double. Oh, baby. And just money on the landing.
Mentioned the U.S. Classic, his success there. Also part of the team championship for the Americans at the Pan American Championships here in 2022 as well. All right, Donnell Wittenberg, if you are a gymnastics fan, you know him. He's a veteran. He's been here at the top level for some time. Earlier, take a look at his effort on the parallel bars.
So he is on a path right now, attempting to make it to the Olympic Games his 3rd time. He was absolutely in the hunt in 2016, but just fell off right at the very end. 2020, he was a little bit further out of it, I thought. But I thought, since he got here to Tampa, I've never seen him look better. Also has huge difficulty. Dismount double front half, little bit of a hop. Don't think that was all the difficulty he was hopeful to do.
Even 14 for parallel bars. And Donnell Wittenberg, who said to us that yesterday, there's one thing left. Go to the Olympics.
That's the only thing he hasn't done. He's got a world medal.
Ian Lasik Ellis, the 19-year-old from Dover, Mass, ready to go on still rings.
I mean, I know if you're sitting at home and you're saying, why are they only showing Stanford? Well, they have 8 guys
a lot of them
on the national team. And as we mentioned, Asher Hong is going there this year. Actually will leave, I believe, right from here in just a couple of days. Ian is also a Massachusetts boy, so I've seen him throughout the years. And Terry, he was such a tiny little kid for so long. And then he just like had a major growth spurt. Same dismount, double twisting double, little bit over on it. Was able to save that, but remember, every step you take in men's gymnastics, unless it's just the smallest little thing, is 3/10. There were at least 2 steps there, and then he's got a body position deduction. The judges are brutal because they're following the rules. So 2 flips, 2 twists. I would have liked to see him maybe finish the twist a little earlier so that he could kind of see the ground and kind of plant his feet exactly where he wants them to go.
Season got off to a good start and a good showing at the 2022 Winter Cup, including a win on floor exercise.
Powered by fruit snacks.
And 7th in the all-around. There's the number for Colt Walker from rings, 14.15.
And that's a good number. Very, very good. When you see a 9-0 or plus execution score, that is a giant number.
Let's keep it rolling.
So, one of the names we know well, Yul Moldauer, the 25-year-old from Colorado, and we saw him compete in the Tokyo Games and eventually go to the World Championships and come in 4th in the all-around. His effort earlier on Pommel horse.
And he's always been exceptional on this event. Maybe one of the best workers in the world in this. It's called a flare. Thomas Flare, named after the great American gymnast. Beautiful extension. This is new for him right here. Extra spin on one pommel will give him more of a maximum score. Exhausting routine too. Little bit tight right here, but gotta fly up to this handstand right here. This is hard for him sometimes. Very good. Really nice start. Pommel horse, you get that out of the way on your first event, and it is a very happy occurrence.
14.789 for the effort on Pommel horse. Yul Moldauer, who is the all-around champ at the U.S. Gymnastics Championships back in 2017, and also a 2-time U.S. silver medalist. Been one of the top names for a number of years. All right, how about Cameron Bock, the 23-year-old from Tustin, California, and we'll take a look at his effort on Pommel horse short time ago. 2-time NCAA team bronze medalist with Michigan Wolverines.
And he actually did his high school gymnastics in the same place that Sam McCulloch did, and then he followed in Sam's footsteps and went to the University of Michigan.
It's odd not to hear the voice of Sam McCulloch here
yes,
around the floor.
You know what? He is here, though.
Yep.
He's on the floor coaching. He has a nice look on Pommel horse. Keeps his hips very extended. Some gymnasts hate to start on pommel horse. It didn't really bother me, but a little slow getting up to the handstand, but a very solid effort for his first event.
14.1 for Cameron Bock, who's an alternate for the Tokyo Games. Asher Hong, rotation #1 in the books here. Night #1 in Tampa. In 2 years, all eyes will be on Paris for the 2024 Olympics. And the nation's best gymnasts are starting their journey this week in Tampa, Florida, where this man looks to prove he's still the one to beat with a national title to defend. He's joined by 2 of his Tokyo Olympic teammates who'd both like to take that title away. All 3 men have their sights set on the Olympic podium, but first, their focus is this podium and this weekend. NBC Sports welcomes you to the 2022 OOFOS U.S. Gymnastics Championships. And welcome everyone inside Amalie Arena here in Tampa. Normally the home for the Lightning, but this week the best gymnasts from across the U.S. Terry Gannon along with the Olympic gold medalist Tim Daggett. Tokyo seemed like yesterday. It kind of does, doesn't
like
it?
yesterday and 5 years ago, too.
Turn the page, and a number of names, faces that we knew during the Olympics in Tokyo. You got to know they were starring there. Certainly now trying to do it again for the next 4 years, next couple of years to Paris. But Brody Malone was the guy who really established his dominance last year. Here he is to defend.
Yes, absolutely. He is the leader of Team USA, and he should be. You know, he is so special in so many different ways, but if there's one thing that I can say about him, he's just special in that he can, under the very biggest pressure situation, deal with it, handle it. It doesn't rock him either way. It doesn't make him too hyped. It doesn't bring him down at all.
Doesn't seem to. I mean, inside, I'm not sure what's going on, but when you talk to him, when you watch him compete, it looks like that at all times. All right, one of the names that you're looking for names now to emerge. How about Asher Hong, the 18-year-old?
Oh, he is a phenom, just unbelievable. I've had the pleasure to watch him grow up in the sport of gymnastics, and when he was just a little boy, it was shocking the level that he was able to do for difficulty. He is among the top difficulty levels in the world and all over the world. The gymnastics experts, the gymnasts, the coaches, Russia, China, Japan. We may not know him here. They know Asher
That's
Hong.
a pretty big buildup you're giving him, and rotation 1's in the books. He was on vault to start. This is what he did.
Unbelievable. It's 3 flips around. So difficult. It's called a Rise Guan, named after Olympic champion from North Korea. And you know, Terry, if someone had come up to me when I was competing and said, that's going to happen someday, I would have said, you obviously don't understand the sport of gymnastics and probably physics.
But it just happened. We watched it and saw the replay there. 16.63. So it is Asher Hong in the lead. Your Moldauer, familiar name from the Olympics, in second. Brody Malone right now started on still rings. There's the number and what he trails by. But it is early, obviously, with just 1 rotation done as we're on to the second rotation, and Yul Moldauer underway on still rings.
Can be very strong on this event. Wants to do exact positions. Nice. Very, very difficult skill to do that smoothly. Another nice Maltese position, pretty good. You have to also swing in gymnastics. There's another strength part, and definitely a 2-second hold. And watch this right here. He's gonna land right in the cross. And you see how he opens his hands there? He does that to telegraph to the judges saying, hey, I do not have my wrists on the rings at all. That makes it easier if they are. And of course, it's gymnastics, so it's a deduction.
There are many of those in gymnastics.
Yes, there are.
2017 U.S. all-around champ and a 2-time silver medalist at these national championships. This night number 1 of 4, night number 1 of 2 for the men.
Very nice. It's called a whippet swing to a handstand, and they call it a swing. It is a swing, but it takes an incredible amount of strength, and he did that very, very well. So let's look at his hands. He's going to do one more time around and then open those wrists. Judges, my wrists are not on the rings. Do not take that 1/10 of a point. This was a little bit of a disappointment for Yule because he is a sticking machine, and that might be one of the only 1/10 steps or hops. That was really small, but they don't like giving it out there.
It wasn't much, but you're right. They will catch it. All right, over to vault. Riley Loos, the 21-year-old from El Dorado Hills, California, getting set to go. Saw him recently at the U.S. Classic. Been a couple of high-level events since the Olympics. Winter Cup and U.S. Classic. He came in 3rd on rings, vault there, 7th in the all-around.
And you know, he helps Team USA because of certain events, and this is one of them. The U.S. has been very weak on vaulting. We saw Asher Hong, who is world-class, and this right here is very capable of being respectable with the top teams in the world. He'll do 2.5 twists. Oh, baby, he almost had that. That's a handspring laid out somersault. And he's got 2.5 twists. So much going on in the air. Definitely finishes that twist and just barely can't hold on to that landing, but a great routine and gonna be a great score for him.
Get his score in a moment, but right now over to Asher Hong, the 18-year-old from Texas, about to be a star at Stanford. Parallel bars.
Nice release from one end of the bars to another. Does that very well. When we got to Tampa, I shook Asher's hand, and I hadn't in a while, and I was amazed how small his hand is and his fingers. And those underbar skills, when you have small hands, are so much harder, but it doesn't seem to bother him at all. Very strong exercise, just the dismount here. Double front half, and he is a phenom, as I have said, and also so capable when it comes to the landings. And that is, you know, the last thing the judge sees. It's the routine either kind of fades away or it ends in a bang.
I'm not sure when I've heard you more excited about a young gymnast than you are right now, Asher Hong. So 2 rotations done for Asher. With us as well, the 4-time U.S. All-Around champ, John Roethlisberger. And we join John now. How are you, John?
I'm great, Terry. Thank you very much. Hey, we're going to talk gymnastics scoring. And gymnastics scoring is complicated, but we are going to keep it simple. There are 2 parts. There's execution and there's difficulty. And we're going to look at right now, this is the graphic we use for all the athletes and their scores. And we're going to look at young phenom, our own young phenom, Tim Daggett's score.
Wow.
Let's start with this number right here. This is the difficulty score. Each athlete starts with 2 points of difficulty just for doing the very basic requirements on each event. On top of that, they add the value of the 10 most difficult skills the gymnast does. Each skill gets a value, they add that up, they combine it with a 2.0, and that is the 6.0 you just saw in difficulty. Now the execution side. This number right here starts from a 10.0. And from that, all the deductions like form breaks, steps on landings, missed handstands, the biggest one is falls from the apparatus. That's where you end up with what's left, and that is this number right there. You add that together with difficulty, and you get the final score here in our example. Tim Daggett, a very good score.
I think they ripped me off, John.
Well, actually, I was going to tell Terry, I can guarantee you one thing about that 14-7 for Tim Daggett. They overscored him.
They were a little generous with that. That stern look on your face throughout. I know you weren't happy with that number from the time we showed that. 14.7.
Absolutely. I don't know what they were thinking about out there.
By the way, Zora Stevenson also with us here on night 1 of the OOFOS U.S. Gymnastics Championships.
So it's important to note that, you know, some events score a little bit higher than other events, and some guys on different events are starting on weaker events. So it doesn't really, you can't really tell what's going on in the competition.
If you're leading after a couple of rotations, it doesn't mean that you're going to win.
Absolutely, it does not.
Fred Richard, one of those young stars as well. 18-year-old from Massachusetts, big star at the Pan American Junior Championships, won the all-around there, and also the 2021 U.S. Junior Championships.
Really nice. Very unusual. You don't see that too often. That was a 2.5 twisting double back. Tricky combination there, that front flip into the double front. Beautiful air flares right there. He's also one of those guys, like I said, with Brody, he just doesn't seem to ever look rattled. And you know, the problem, that was something he should not have given away. That was a 3/10 step for the easiest thing he's done in that routine by a mile. Dismount, triple twist, a little bit off. That's a 3/10 step. He'll get some deduction for possibly not getting it all the way around. But what Fred Richard has going for him is his level of difficulty is so high that he is eligible for all this extra bonus that USA Gymnastics is encouraging. So he can even make small mistakes and still end up, you know, ahead of a lot of guys that are perfect.
Been trying to peak right here at the U.S. Championships, training all year for this. Or Stevenson, do you have more on Fred?
Well, Fred's resume already includes a U.S. Junior All-Around Championship that happened last year in 2021. And you all were talking about the fact that he's a rising gymnastics star for the United States men team. In addition to all that, he's a phenom on TikTok. His Instagram and his TikTok account are known as Frederick Flips. Over 400,000 followers. One of his videos this summer had over 6 million views. And Fred told us he's intentional about the tricks that he posts. He said at first he posted normal gymnastics routine, but then realized people like you and I can't relate to all the crazy stuff that these athletes do, so he simplified it, and the platform has continued to evolve. He hopes all these videos will draw more people to the sport, and there's just one rule with all the TikToks. The week of the competition, no videos. That's at his coach's request, and Fred doesn't mind the rule because he's been working all season long for this very event, and guys, the goal he has to get in the top 3, a lofty one.
That is lofty. He told us that. We said, how do you define success here at the U.S. Championships? He said top 3.
Absolutely.
I could see you back in the 80s if TikTok were around. You'd have been a big star, man.
Oh, my goodness.
So the number 14.466. You got to keep in mind throughout that bonus, too, and the numbers don't quite add up. It's a .366 bonus on that one.
That is.
All right, Shane Wiskus, the 23-year-old from Spring Park, Minnesota. His effort on parallel bars a little earlier here. Competed at the Olympics. We watched them there. He's saying, I came back just feeling kind of empty-handed. Didn't accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, but driven to do it this time around.
Has a lot of really great qualities. And if I had to pick an event where I thought he was most natural, it would be parallel bars. Just seems so calm, but you saw him move his hand a little bit right there. That's how picky the judges are, and right there, 2 hand placements. Shane has one of the more difficult routines in the competition, therefore his starting score will be higher, and then he'll get bonus added on top of that. I like seeing that. Didn't move his hand. This is very hard. It amazes me he does that element so late in the routine. Very dynamic. It's called a Bafsar, named after great American gymnast Raj Bafsar. Double front dismount. Great landing.
Yep.
Just had a couple of those steps in the beginning, but overall, that was excellent.
Won a bronze medal at the U.S. Championships on parallel bars back in 2019. 15.149 with that bonus added in. So that's the first one on parallel bars over 15 tonight. Continue here in night one in Tampa, the 2022 OOFOS U.S. Gymnastics Championships. John Roethlisberger with us. Been talking to the judges, I hear. What do you know, John?
Well, I'm going to the dark side, Terry, talking to the judges, you know, getting some feedback. You know, I talked to Dan Bock, he's the head of the officials here at the U.S. Championships, about vault. Vault is an exciting event. We see some big, risky vaults being done like Asher Hong. I said, what are you guys looking for? And he said, want to see big vaults, double flipping vaults, vaults that make the judges want to fall out of their seat a little bit. But you're going to take those big risks. You got to land, and you got to land clean. And that, as we will see throughout this competition, that is not easy given the difficulty that some of these athletes are doing.
Tim, it's always that judgment, isn't it? Risk.
Risk, reward.
Reward.
Absolutely.
Ian Lasik Ellis, the 19-year-old from Dover, Massachusetts, ready to go on vault.
And he's going to do a handspring double front. So the time his feet leave the vault board until he lands on the mat, he's going to actually turn over 3 times. Oh, and he did it pretty well. Tim and I talked about this vault quite a bit in the training sessions, and that was one of the better ones, Tim, I think I've seen him do.
Absolutely. Technique was really, really good. When you're maybe not as powerful and quick as some other guys, sometimes you want to rush the technique, but he didn't at all, and that paid off for him.
So we're going to break down the replay here and look at it in segments and try to give the viewers just an idea of what the judges are looking for. So the first part of the vault is the pre-flight. So from the board to the vault table, right here, we're going to stop it right there. This is actually pretty darn good. You look at his feet, they're a little bit apart. Legs are pretty straight, though. On this vault, you'll see a lot of bent knees typically. Now, you keep moving forward. The amplitude, the very peak of the somersault, you can see, you can't see the mat down there, but trust me, he's high up in the air. The one thing, though, his feet are still apart, his knees are apart. That should also be a deduction. And now the ever-critical landing. And this is where you can find deductions that might not be as visible to the human eye. So he lands a little short. He is going to take a little hop backwards here. That's going to be a deduction also, but he needs to land vertically. See that chest? That chest dropped over the knees. You got to land straight up and down as much as possible. Otherwise, you will get a deduction. Tim, 8.65 execution. You like it?
Yeah, you know, I see it. In another area that I thought is when he landed, something they're looking for is you don't squat down low. And he kind of came down low, so they deduct like crazy.
And now it's Current Phillips, the 22-year-old from Naperville, Illinois, another star from Stanford on vault.
Very clean vaulter. Beautiful. Yurchenko with 2.5 twists. This is one of the best scoring vaults in the world because he enters the table a different way, and it's very easy, or much easier, I should say, to have good form on what we call the pre-flight. Remember, we saw Ian, and he had pretty good form on the pre-flight, but look at him. He's perfect. Just a little bit of a hop on the landing. So look at the form from the board to the table. Knees are stretched, toes are pointed. Exactly what those judges are looking for. Gorgeous vault.
Phillips, who said his goals are to win a national championship. Check that box at Stanford, certainly. And also to compete in the 2024 Olympics. That's still to come. 14.4 overall number on vault for Current Phillips.
And you see that 9-2 execution score. That is a big execution score.
Keep it right here on vault. And Brody Malone, the defending U.S. all-around champ.
Got to kind of get it back together a little bit. Didn't have the start on still rings that he wanted. He's been doing this vault for a while, and he can stick. Oh, he just barely. And, you know, like you said, Terry, it's hard to know what's going on in his brain, and I think he's furious with himself that he wasn't able to hold onto this little bit of form on the takeoff. But look at him fighting those toes, and he just has to take that little hop. You saw his foot was on the line. On the line is fine. If you step over it, that's when you get into trouble.
So get that number on vault in a moment for Brody Malone. But over to the 28-year-old from Baltimore, Donnell Wittenberg. Come so close to competing at the Olympics. Was an alternate in Rio. And that's what's driving him now to get to Paris in 2024.
Absolutely. He tweeted, humbled and grateful to make 20 trips around the sun today, but there'll be no celebrating for his birthday. He said it is all business. Looking for handstands. That was pretty good. Nice release skill. Got to keep those elbows straight. Did a good job. This is a routine that Donnell just wants to survive. He is phenomenal on still ring, on vaulting, so powerful on floor exercise. For his abilities, though, this is tremendous. Double twisting, double layout, and bam! Got it early, Terry. Gymnastics 101, fly high and stick the landing.
Didn't take long to hear that. It's got a nice ring to it once again. Good to be back with you here in the booth. Not sure, you got to compete. You have to work on your birthday.
I know.
You get to compete. It depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, no, I think it's a birthday present to get to compete on your birthday. And like I said, you know, ever since I've been in Tampa and I've been watching Donnell, I thought he looked a little different, a little bit more focused, determined. Had a little bit of struggle there. In slow motion, that looked a little bit worse than I think it was. So double somersault in a stretched position, 2 twists, and you see him just spotting that ground so early. He finishes the twist, he's finished the flip, and he gets to look at the ground and put his feet exactly where he wants to put them, and you get a stick.
How about the number for Brody Malone on vault? 14.45 after a lower number to open up on rings.
Yeah, you know, it's a good solid number for Brody. There's nothing wrong with that score right there, but he knows he could have gotten 3/10 higher if he had just not moved his feet on the landing. But he's fine, and there's a lot of daylight left. He's got 10 more events in these championships.
Yeah, you got 4 more rotations tonight. Then you've got night number 2, and the cumulative total is what gets it done in the all-around here. Donnell Wittenberg, who said, I need consistency at this point, not necessarily heroics. Be consistent on all 6.
Yeah, he told us that, you know, he just wants to show the committee that will choose the world team that he belongs, and he can be depended on.
So we'll get his number as we continue here. It's night 1 of the OOFOS U.S. Gymnastics Championships from Tampa. The 2022 OOFOS U.S. Gymnastics Championships are brought to you by Prevagen. Prevagen is the #1 pharmacist recommended memory support brand. By Angie. Angie's List is now Angie for home projects big and small. Get the Angie app today. And by OOFOS Recovery Footwear. Feel the oof. First time that this championship's being held here, Amalie Arena in Tampa. We move ahead to rotation number 3. Before we do, though, we send it back over to Zora, who has been joined by Nastia Lukin.
Well, Terry, I'm here with the queen, Olympic champion, 5-time medalist. I got to hype you up before I ask you a bunch of questions.
Well, thank you.
Let's talk about the women. 2 years until Paris. What's the significance of this weekend in the U.S. Championships?
Well, you know, any time that these athletes go on the competition floor, it matters. The selection committee is always watching, and it's really right now. This is officially the road to Paris, and they are now building their resume. And this is a huge bullet point on that resume. Every single person wants to win that national championships, and they also just want to impress the selection committee every time they go out. Consistency is key.
2 Olympians are set to compete. Jade Carey, Jordan Childs. What's the latest on them?
Oh my gosh, it's been so great to be able to see them back out here. And I think for everybody, for gymnastics fans, but also for the other athletes out here on the floor, how exciting is it for them to have watched them compete at the Olympic Games just last summer, and now they're right next to them competing at the same competition. And I think they've just done such an incredible job. Had a great collegiate year their first year, and their Olympic alternate, Leanne Wong, really looking to also contend for that top spot. So it's going to be an exciting meet.
Outside of the Olympians, what else should we keep an eye on?
oh, there's so many incredible athletes out here this year. And again, because it's not a 4-year Olympic cycle, the Olympics are only 2 years away, it's going to be really exciting because we have juniors emerging into the senior ranking. We have a few really, really great seniors that have gone back and forth all year. So Leanne Wong won the previous competition. Connor also, she is one to watch, and it's going to be great.
We appreciate the time. It's clear that the road to Paris has already begun, and this weekend is a part of it. Terry?
Tonight, tomorrow. See, Nastia tomorrow night. She'll join us in the booth. We've got the women coming your way tomorrow night. And here are the standings after 2 rotations for the men. Night 1, Asher Hong, the 18-year-old, headed to Stanford in the lead. Riley Loos. And then Brody Malone, he looked down in that 9th spot. So he was in 10th after the opening rotation on rings. Vault has brought him up tonight.
Don't be a nervous Nelly. Brody Malone is going to be fine.
Why
Absolutely.
are you looking at me
No,
when
I'm not
you
talking
say
to you. I'm talking to folks that are looking at it and they're saying, how is it possible that this guy is way down that low? He's got huge events coming up, and he will climb the leaderboard fast, in my opinion.
Asher Hong getting set for high bar. John, do you have more?
Yeah, you know, I just talked to Tom Meadows, Asher's coach, after the last rotation. Here he is in the lead big time over 3 Olympians in the field. And I said, does Asher pay attention to what's going on around him? He says, no, he really stays in his own bubble. But he did say he paid close attention to what Brody did at the U.S. Classics a few weeks ago. Saw him win that event. He said the next day he went into practice and he said, stepped it up just a little bit. I think he's seeing the fruits of his labor right now.
All right, getting set here on high bar. Here we go.
And Tom told me earlier in the week that it's a gift when you get a gymnast that when they lift their arm and salute the judge at competition, they're just a little bit better every time than they were in practice. Big release.
Oh.
That's a shame. That is a big fall for him. You know, Asher is so fantastic in so many ways, but if you were to pick out an event where he maybe isn't as natural, it's high bar, a little bit far, but I think he just misjudges where he puts his hand on the bar. So that right there, he loses a point for the fall, and he loses the element. He has the option to do it over again. We'll see right here. No, he does not. You know, because he is, but these are very cool. Oh, German Giants, nicely done. Gets out well. Remember that parallel bar dismount, perfect stick. You'll probably see one here. He is amazing. He is a cat, a kinesthetic phenom.
All right, I'm taking that in. Yeah, okay. It's a pretty good comeback too after what happened.
Absolutely, but you know, you can't erase nice German Giants. You can actually do them a little bit better than that. Well, remember, he got that big bonus on vaulting, doing the most difficult vault and doing it extremely well. This will probably lower his score by about 2 points because it's going to also take away the bonus. You got the 1 point fall, and then the value of the element, and then he loses bonus too.
Which is significant. We've been talking about that bonus. Going to go to Shane Wiskus next. John, what do you know?
Yeah, you know, we talk a lot about risk-reward in gymnastics, and earlier this week, Shane Wiskus told us on their average events, gymnasts tend to keep it safe and clean, but on their big events, he's seen the guys go really big. And for Shane, high bar is an event that he will go big. And one skill that he and other gymnasts are doing, that go big skill, it's called the Casina. It's a double back over the bar in the laid out position with a full twist. He did it a couple of years ago. This is what it looked like. One arm catch. I think his mom passed out when she saw that. Big time risk. He just grabs the bar, but this is that type of element. He's going to do it again today. That gives you big time rewards. He got a little sheepish grin on his face because he knows he got away with one, but he's going to do it again today, and this is the type of skill that can be a make or break skill here at the U.S. Championship.
John and Tim, there are highs and lows certainly on this apparatus. Remember that final routine at the U.S. Championships when he fell not once, not twice, 3 times. Came back after that with a really strong showing at the U.S. Olympic trials. and made the Olympic team, but there is that experience.
Absolutely. And it's happened quite a bit. He sometimes doesn't look at the bar quick enough. He's coming up right here. This is the same skill. Oh, just barely gets the hands around the bar. Another one in tucked position. Beautiful release. Got to show good body lines, nice rhythm. You want to go right to a handstand on elements like this. And that right there, that is a big time deduction. That's half a point. And that one's probably 3. He got through the really scary, risky stuff. The stuff in the air, but kind of going to take it a little bit on the chin on those elements that we're looking for precision.
He talked to us about trying more than ever to stay mentally focused at all times and not kind of losing that focus, looking around, taking other things in.
Does he see the bar? And see, his head is ducked.
Yeah.
His chin is on his chest, and he really needs to kind of figure that out. I talked to his coach, Caesar, right there about it, asked, do you do any drills? And he says, we do a ton of drills. And, you know, he can do it much better than that.
By the way, Asher Hong, 12.3 for his effort on high bars. We take you over the parallel bars and the 21-year-old from Cedar Park, Texas, Colt Walker.
He can like manhandle his gymnastics. Really nice. Kept that moving. That skill's called a makutsu. A lot of guys pause on that single bar. I would say that was no deduction at all. Very, very well. Gorgeous. You know, when they float, when a gymnast floats, male or female, it's magical, and you're doing exactly what you're supposed to. You're doing the toughest stuff in the world, and you're making it look effortless, but it ain't.
I believe you.
Dismount, very popular nowadays, double front somersault.
Yeah.
Bam.
Yes. And he knows it.
Yeah, he is big time guy. He can just put his body into the exact place it needs to be, and he can do it with tremendous force and energy, so he can create huge power.
The third place finish, parallel bars, at the U.S. Championships in 2021 for Colt Walker. Meanwhile, the number 14.095 for Shane Wiskus on high bar. What do you think of that, Tim?
Well, you know, it's a good score, but you see the 7.0 execution. That's 3 points off. And really, it was the handstands that got him.
A bit of a bonus on that included in that number. It does confuse things a little bit because you can't just add, right? The bonus.
Yeah.
Walker being congratulated by his teammates. Yes, there are a few athletes from Stanford here.
Come on, Jerry.
All right, Fred Richard, one of the young stars. We saw him earlier tonight. And we'll take you back to his effort on Pommel short time ago.
And he's capable of doing an incredibly difficult routine, one of the most difficult in the competition. His planned maximum starting score is the same value as the current world champion, but it won't be now, and his execution skill won't be with that either. Can't go up to the handstand on that single pommel in the beginning and then step to the end. There are a lot of people that might think he's just trying to do too much too early. You see him get a little bit tight right there, and the form is not great, and you come off. So this actually a very disappointing routine for Fred.
And yeah, we told you it was earlier, and he actually came off the pommel horse a number of times. So 12.493, disappointing number for Fred Richard.
Just got to keep my head up and keep it going. I'll make it up. So, yeah.
He's a great kid, though.
Telling you he's going to make up for that the rest of the night. Colt Walker, the number 15.699.
And you see that 9.15 execution score again. That is ginormous.
And that's the best we've seen on parallel bars tonight. So a great effort for the Stanford Cardinal there. And we continue here. The opening night of the OOFOS U.S. Gymnastics Championships. Brody Malone continuing as well. Back to remind you, Monday, Peacock kicks off the Premier League season into high gear. Two of the world's best goal scorers in action. Cristiano Ronaldo, Man United, hosting Mo Salah, and Liverpool comes your way Monday, 3 Eastern on Peacock. Meanwhile, rotation number 3 continues. Coy Young, 19-year-old from Bowie, Maryland, also a star at Stanford, part of a national championship team, and his effort a short time ago on parallel bars.
And he's a phenomenal athlete. He, however, has been dealing for quite a while now with a major wrist problem. One is bad, but the other is bad as well. Has had to lower his maximum score, his starting scores, by a lot because of the pain. He can't do the same numbers. I asked Tom Galimi, the head coach, like, what do you mean by that? He doesn't do as much. He said he doesn't do a lot. We really have to be very careful with it. One of the best looks on pommel horse when he's healthy in the world, really. Very solid routine. Dismount double pike, and a nice little slide back.
One of his biggest assets, an even keel. Don't get too upset, take it as it comes, and move on. 14.050, Coy Young having a bit of a laugh. Sitting down and waiting. Current Phillips getting set to go. John, do you have more?
Oh, man, I tell you what, Tim and Terry, I know we're not supposed to play favorites, but this is probably my favorite routine. Current Phillips on parallel bars. The most difficult routine being done in this meet, one of the most difficult parallel bar routines in all of the world. We talked about how routines are broken down on the difficulty side, the value of the 10 most difficult skills that the gymnast does. Here's what Current Phillips does on parallel bars. He does 4 Ds worth 4/10 each, 4 Es, 4 F skills. And right down here, look at that right there, G. Tim, if you didn't know what the G stood for, it's for ginormous, and you get 7/10 of a point for that G. You add those together, and it is a 16.9 start value. Sit back and enjoy this one. And by the way, Tim, he does a skill that I trained for 8 years. It's called a front uprise Diab. I never made it once. And he makes it look like he's just, getting out of the bed in the morning. It's amazing.
By the way, did you know that's what the G stands for?
Yeah, I actually did. But while he's saying G, I still do this. I had to actually go through the ABCs on my fingers, and a G gets you a lot of points.
Here we go.
And these are the skills. When you go to your upper arms and you do these massive elements, beautiful. Now step forward and back. That's 2/10 off. Another nice giant or front uprise to Diab. This is very difficult. I honestly feel that if this young man can hold on and be a part of the team, look at that, gorgeous. It goes to Paris. He's got 2 years to improve on this routine. This is world class. He gets a little fatigued at the end, I think. And a big step, 3/10 step backwards at the end. Still going to be a gigantic score.
Starts with a G.
Early on, this upper arm work, front uprise to a Diab 1 1/4. So his regular maximum score like John alluded to, 16.9. Guess what he gets bonus added on top of that? More than 1.5, 1.649.
Yeah, that's big.
Makes him very, very difficult to beat.
So Curran Phillips will get that number, the 22-year-old from Naperville, Illinois. How about Steven Nedoroscik, who, you know the story, man. He came so close to making it to the Olympics, an individual, and then really got unlucky because of the pandemic, having to come home, and the qualifying counted. He wasn't a part, the whole thing. But he goes then to the World Championships and wins the first ever title in that event for the U.S.
It was unbelievable. Just spectacular routine, and he's a super quality human being, just a really great guy, also a Massachusetts guy. I got to watch him growing up. Beautiful extension. And this is really tricky, his most difficult element. Wow, little bit clunky, but so hard. And this element right here, another full spin right around on one arm. Oh boy, a little bit off. And good save right there. That was an excellent fight. But that makes him a little more tired, and this dismount, it's good. We're supposed to do another turn in the handstand. Good routine, but not great.
World Pommel Horse champ from 2021.
So staying on one pommel for a long time, so difficult. And he does this element right here. It's very few people in the world are capable of doing that. Got a little bit off on this traveling skill right here, and you see his knees and his hips are bent. But he really does a fantastic job of still getting up to a handstand, because he is far more tired than he would typically be if it was smooth sailing throughout. So he's got a good amount of endurance as well.
U.S. Pommel champ as well in 2021. Yet figure that thing out. By the time we get his score, I'll have that solved. 16.999. Is that right? Curran Phillips, that's the highest score on any event tonight.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Remember, over 1.5 in additional bonus on top of that. There are some people that think the system, it's not the right way to do it. Some people think that it should go just by FIG rules.
Okay, the buildup was too big. He's still trying to figure it out. But almost there. 15.693. There you go, Stephen. Way to go.
Even with those struggles, most likely he's going to win Pommel Horse here today.
That was pretty impressive on Pommel and what he just did.
Yeah, exactly. I did it a little faster than him. I got one under the table up here.
Oh, is that right? All right, Brody Malone helping out here, but had his effort on parallel bars a short time ago. So let's check it out.
Actually has a skill named after him that he would do right here. He did it at the Olympics, but not presently doing it. Beautiful locked arms. Can really make this look so smooth. It's exactly what the judges are looking for. They want to see no struggle. And he did have some struggle there, but John and I were actually watching him the other day in practice, and I think I saw him miss about 7 or 8 of those in a row, but as we've said, he is a gamer, and when it came to it, was able to get that around. He'll just chip away. Landings haven't been as crisp for Brody tonight as they can be.
So moving up though, 15.171, as you knew that he would. Yeah. Right now, sitting in 4th place as we approach the end of the 3rd rotation.
No, absolutely, there's no question about it. And he goes to high bar, which his routine is just off the charts.
All right, how about Donnell Wittenberg? Seen him a couple of times tonight, and he was on floor a little earlier. Let's check out that effort.
So there's a lot of combination passes that are done. Front flips done into different variations of double flips forwards. Right here, and that right there. Big deduction. Lose a full point for that. A lot of times, Donnell can be a little bit hoppy on the landings. Another one. Oh, baby. He pulled hard to get that around. I actually thought, in Tampa, watching him, I thought he was a little bit better on avoiding those little hops everywhere.
Last couple of days in training, you're talking?
Yes, absolutely. You know, he's been around for a long time. As I said, this is his third
reminded us
Olympics.
of that.
Yeah.
He points out, and what he's learned to this point, he's changed his diet. He used to get dehydrated and had some issues with cramps, and eats a lot of fruit these days.
Yes,
he
he does.
Water from the fruit.
He's also about 10 pounds lighter, he says. Double twisting, double somersault. Really hard stuff, has to hurry. 75 seconds to finish a floor routine, and the hands go down again. So he has 2 falls in that routine. 2 points off for that alone.
12.772. Went to the World Championships this past time. Said he made a promise to himself during the World Championships, I'm going to get to the Olympics. So that's what the path is, the goal is right now. So we go over to the 19-year-old from Arvada, Colorado, and Taylor Burkhardt getting set.
He's a Stanford gymnast, obviously. You see that on his chest.
That becomes redundant.
Yes, it does. But he actually trained for quite a bit with OU star, Yul Moldauer. Come from the same club, 5280 in Colorado. It was good, but a little bit of a pause on that single rail. He'll get between 1 to 3/10 deducted. And that right there, you see the legs come apart and 2 steps. Double pike, a little bit of a hop. So much harder to land that type of dismount than the double fronts you see. Just about everybody has switched to the double fronts. You actually even get a 10th more in difficulty. I'm sure he's working on it in the gym.
On bars too, early with a few mistakes. It's so tough to keep your concentration, I would imagine, and get through the entire routine. Yul Moldauer
6 more again on Saturday.
walking as they make that move to the next rotation, but we'll check out his effort in vault here in rotation number 3 earlier.
He's also one of those guys that can be magically sticky with his feet, but not there. And that right foot, that looked, can't see it from that angle, but it looked dangerously close to going over the line. That would be an additional 1/10 of a point.
14.35, the number for Yul Moldauer, who's in 3rd place overall. It's Colt Walker leading the way. Asher Hong, the young teenager, in 2nd place after 3 rotations. Back to tell you, the NFL season kicks off Thursday, September 8th on NBC and Peacock. Bills taking on the Super Bowl champs Rams. Then on Sunday Night Football, Tom Brady and the Bucks take on the Cowboys that time of year. Meanwhile, the OOFOS U.S. Gymnastics Championships continue after 3 rotations. It's that man right there, Colt Walker, with the lead, Tim.
Yeah, and it's not surprising to me because he's unbelievably stable in his gymnastics. But you look at the lead, 1.3 over Asher Hong. Go down the list to Brody Malone, 1.525. If both of them hit their events here, you'd think, obviously, Colt is going to come out on top. Wrong. Brody actually has a 2-point advantage on maximum start score if he does his routine and Colt does what he plans.
Remember, Brody Malone was down in 10th place after the opening rotation, so he's moved up significantly the last couple of rotations. And night number 1 added to night number 2, a couple of nights away from that here in Tampa for the men to decide the U.S. all-around title and individual apparatus titles too. Tomorrow night, women in action. Be great to see some of the faces, yes, that we watched in Tokyo at the Olympics, but also new ones on the scene.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, seeing the ones that were in Tokyo and having competed a full collegiate season and coming right back again, it's kind of unheard of in the sport of gymnastics.
It's so odd
yes.
to look at that and go, oh, competed at Florida, competed at, around the country, wherever, and now back on the elite level. All right, Shane Wiskus ready on floor. Here, rotation number 4.
Can really stand out on this event as well. Ooh, double twisting, double somersault, and a big step. That is unusual for Shane. Oh boy. And he has struggled with those combination tumbling runs that end with that double front. At the Classic, he added a double front at the end of that, but just wasn't able to handle all of that difficulty. So a guy like Shane, he is, I can't envision a world where he doesn't get invited to the World Selection Camp. At that camp, they will have another 2 competitions, just like here in Tampa, and they'll take this meet and the meet at the selection camp, add them all together, and they'll come up with the best scoring team. Even with some of the mistakes we've seen from Shane, still very much in the hunt. Great dismount, triple twist at the end.
Attempt for the men. The all-around champ here this week automatically qualifies for the World Championship team, and then the top 2 all-around qualify for the World Selection, and then it goes on from there. Some of the errors here.
Yeah, about a half a point on that landing for sure. And then this one, the combination, 2.5 twists into a double front, rebounds right into it, and then a huge step forward. And certainly that right foot was out, which means a 10th if the, or I guess it was his left foot there. If his right foot kind of slid on the ground, it's 3/10. I don't think so.
So he waits for the number, and we go over to high bar and Team Stanford over here. Colt Walker, number 1. After 3 rotations.
He's told me, I just really want to show the coaches, the judges, that you can count on me. He's a young athlete, and that right there, big deduction, at least 3/10 of a point, maybe 5, because he's supposed to finish exactly in a handstand. That one a little bit too. Here come his big releases. Really good. So, you know, if you went back a few years, more than a few, this would be a super difficult high bar routine. But in today's world, when you got guys like Brody, oh, wow, that's very, very unusual for him. He's so well conditioned. Sure, he wasn't too tired at the end. That just,
Okay.
maybe didn't come off the bar the way he wanted to. So if you're supposed to go to handstand, you got to go exactly there. If you're just a little off, it's only a 10th. Watch when his hand gets on the bar. Not there yet. Right there. So I would say he's going to survive with only 3/10 of a point. But when I saw it in real time, like the judges are looking at it, I thought it was a little bit lower at the end. Dismount, 2 flips, kind of really brought his feet down very, very low, so he's a little closer to the bar than maybe typical. Bounding step forward, and that's a 2nd step right there.
So the leader after 3 rotations, bit of a struggle on high bar.
Still gonna be, you know, way at the top of the field.
All right, Still rings earlier, Fred Richard, the 18-year-old, who we saw have some problems over on Pommel horse in the last rotation. This was his effort here. As he gets underway, just a thought on what you said a moment ago on difficulty. These athletes, they pay attention to the top gymnasts from across the world and what exactly the routines are like and the difficulty, and they try to keep up with that. And that's a big push for the U.S. men this time around.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And he is constantly looking at what the best gymnasts in the world are doing. Nagorny Hashimoto from Japan. And like I said, he's going to college after this competition. He's a very young man. And so I think it's a good strategy. He's doing super difficult stuff that he has a long time
so a guy
now
like Shane
to kind of, he is really, I can't envision a world where he doesn't get invited to the world selection camp. And fix a lot of those, they will have another landings, just like here in Tampa. And they'll take this meet.
So the number 13.55 on still rings for Fred Richard.
It was good, not great. It's one of his lowest difficulty routines. You see that 15.0.
All right, Shane Wiskus for floor, 14.029. Got a bonus of 0.229, but the penalty as well.
Yep, just that 1/10. So it did not, both feet did not go out of bounds. Not a great routine for him, though. He can certainly be close to a point better execution-wise.
Even 13 on high bar for Colt Walker.
Yeah, and that is going to hurt, no question about it, but he's still going to be hanging around that top group.
Let's go, Curran!
And remember, everybody has different strong events. So it's like we saw Asher Hong start off the competition on vaulting and just blow it out of the park, and was leading, but then he had the fall on high bar, so still a lot of meat left.
That's why it's hard to keep track after 3 or 4 rotations who's going to win, and you don't know, and athletes don't too, because you got to look at what the rotations are. The apparatus is still remaining. Current Phillips underway, high bar, the 22-year-old from the Chicago area.
Got some big releases as well. Very nice. Do it in a tuck position now, that double flip over the bar. Reverse hack here. And he does 2 of them in combination. Now Curran does not do the all around. And oh boy, and that right there, that one is definitely, that's a full half of a point off for not finishing even close to the handstand position. Dismount right here. Oh boy.
Oh, hello. Wow.
And so Colt is looking over to his coach, Tom Galimi, and the head judge, I believe, asking if they are going to credit that as a dismount, or he could be saying there was.
What do you think?
I don't think they're going to let him go again. I'd be surprised. He just kind of, I think he pinged off the bar, and because of that, he got a little bit lost in the air. It's a little bit of shades of Simone Biles in Tokyo a year ago.
Well, that is going to stand as is. So the problem on high bar for Curran Phillips as we continue here, night 1 in Tampa. So the problem at the end on high bar for Curran Phillips reflected in that score.
Yeah, and they were actually trying to say there was equipment failure, that his grip pinged off the bar, but unless the grip breaks, it's not equipment failure.
Coming up next, Brody Malone, the defending all-around champ here on high bar. Zor, do you have more on Brody?
Well, Terry, let's go back to Brody Malone's freshman year at Stanford. His coach would remind him at every single meet that these events are building blocks and stepping stones to get to the Olympics. And that mindset, well, it worked. Last summer, he was in Tokyo competing as the top American all-arounder. He even made it to the high bar final, just missing the podium by 0.3 of a point. He responded after the adversity, though, winning bronze at the World Championships on high bar. But it's that Olympic miss that keeps him up at night. So now, with just 2 years until Paris, the building blocks will start all over again. This time, in addition to making it to the Olympics, the Georgia native wants a medal. This weekend is all a part of the process. Guys.
Sure it is, and the world bronze medalist on high bar, but it is that miss at the Olympics that is just there driving him right now, Tim.
Absolutely, and keeps him up at night. There's no question about it, because he was in a great position. He just didn't travel over the bar on one of those handstand skills. He was trying to do it so perfectly that he just went right to the handstand and didn't make it over the bar, fell the wrong way, half a point of deduction. I thought if that hadn't happened, that he could have challenged not just for a medal. He would have gotten a medal for sure, but he could have challenged for that gold medal.
And here is the 2021 U.S. all-around champ, the two-time NCAA all-around champ, and the world bronze medalist on high bar, Brody Malone, the 22-year-old from Somerville, Georgia, getting ready.
So he does exactly what you're supposed to. Do the hardest stuff being done in the world and do it beautifully. He has 2 major releases that'll happen right off the top, and then he'll try to connect together 3 releases in a row. So the timing is absolutely critical. You've got to be dynamic, but you've got to be right on the money. Can't deviate at all. There's that first release. The Casina, really nicely done. Great form as well. Another one here in tucked position. This is my favorite, if he puts it all together. Right here, 1 and 3 in a row.
I'm with you.
Oh, geez. So Terry, right here is where he fell the wrong way at the Olympics, and not even close this time. He'll get a 3/10 deduction for going too far over the bar on that. His dismount, 2 flips, 2 twists, 1 piece of air, and a small little hop on the landing, but going to be a ginormous number.
Small little hop, but Brody Malone showing you why he is the defending all-around champ. That was something special.
Very, very high. And the thing that he also does that's so great is he's able to maintain great form throughout the element and after he catches the bar. A lot of times people get a little bit sloppy. Knees came apart just a little bit on that, but watch this, just beautiful. Laid out Tkachev, then he does one with his legs apart, and then a piked one. Gorgeous, just absolutely phenomenal work. If you know gymnastics and you watch Brody Malone, it's not very hard to be a huge fan, because he's just something else.
By the way, he's standing about 4 feet from you. He's hearing you talk and brag about him right now. How about you, John? What do you have?
Well, you know, that skill you talked about, the full talk to handstand, that's the only skill in Brody's routine that I've actually ever done before. But, you know, Tim, you talk about how flat some of these go, meaning not to a handstand. We look at Brody's right here, and he's a little past the handstand, but he does big skills that make you real nervous. But the collar on your shirt gets a little tight when you get to those skills. When you're thinking, you got to get to the handstand, you just want to go a little flat. It's a little scary, so you got to understand, it's not a big skill, but man, it's a hairy one to go the wrong way, as Brody knows all too well.
Yeah, and you want to go a little flat, especially when going too early, knocked you out of the medals in Tokyo.
Guys, there's the number 15.716. That's more than a point better than anybody else on this tonight.
That equals good, I think.
Yeah.
I think Tim would even agree with that one, Terry.
Yeah.
I actually thought he was going to get a little higher than that.
Oh, really?
To be perfectly honest, I did.
Over the floor, Asher Hong, the 18-year-old, set.
has just everywhere. He's got a ton of difficulty. Really tricky. Oh, and that was well done. Full twisting layout to a double front somersault, but he did it in piked. Oh! So a lot of people watching at home, that didn't even look hard, but it was a double twisting, double laid out somersault on floor.
You think that didn't look hard?
Well, it looked hard to me because I know how hard it is, and no matter how long I trained or how hard I try, I never could have done that. Got to remember, he's also coming off of the event where he kind of dropped the ball. He came off the bar. Really cost him quite a bit, but this routine thus far has had tremendous landings. Another one right here. Oh, just a little hop. Trying to get that last breath. Triple twist. Biggest hop of the routine at the end. Gonna be a 3/10 hop, maybe a little bit of a deduction because his chest was bent down a little bit, bent in his hips. But that was brilliant, to be perfectly honest. What makes this so hard is he does the combination and he does this double front and his legs are straight. It's called a pike position. And then this one right here. Double twisting, double somersault, great form, and bam! Was such a near perfect routine for Asher. Triple twist, really tosses it up in the air. Hop forward. He's something else.
Second place overall heading into this rotation. Remember, there are 2 nights of competition. It's all added together.
Okay.
All right, so we'll get the number for Asher Hong in a moment. Moldauer, certainly one of the top names coming into this U.S. championship. And take you back to his effort short time ago.
This is one of Yule's better events as well. He has a lot of very big difficulty. Watch this giant, and then a giant with a full spin on one arm. That's called a Diab. Very difficult. A little bit of bent arms on that. Not allowed to do that without incurring a deduction. And oh boy, I did not see this when the routine was happening. So I'm looking at it for the first time as well. Really risky skill. He's got a lot of difficulty, as you can see, that 6.1, but you come off the apparatus, any of them, a full point off, and he loses the value of that element as well.
Going into this rotation, he was in 3rd place right behind Asher Hong. It was Colt Walker who led. And 14.729 for Asher Hong on floor. That's the highest of this meet on floor so far.
It should be the highest of this meet. I think 8.5 is a little too harsh.
So we move on. Night 1 here in Tampa. Brody Malone making a move. Night 1 here in Tampa, the 2022 OOFOS U.S. Gymnastics Championships. After 4 rotations, it is the defending all-around champ who's taken the lead. Brody Malone, who was down in 10th place after the opening rotation. Young teenager Asher Hong in 2nd, and Colt Walker now rounding out the top 3. He had the lead going into that last rotation, and then Moldauer, Shane Wiskus rounding out the top 5. Certainly well-known names, but let's start with this young man and what he's shown you so far tonight.
He's shown me a lot. You know, I mean, and I like it better in a lot of ways. He had a mistake, and he's a young person, doesn't have as much, high-level experience as some of the other guys. He makes the mistake on high bar, comes to floor exercise next, and is the best I've ever seen him on that event. And that is a quality that you absolutely want to have and covet.
We've talked about Brody Malone and his composure and never looking like he's flustered or under pressure. I know he is, but Yeah, that opening rotation wasn't the best number, but he's got the lead now.
Yeah, things don't phase him. And I thought that that could very easily happen. And I thought it would happen on the rotation. It did on high bar, where he is so spectacular. So basically for both Asher and for Brody is going to do floor and then onto the pommel horse, and Asher is going to be on floor and then rings. Or excuse me, pommel horse and then rings. They both got to do pommel horse, which is very tricky.
John, what do you make of what we're going to see here in the last couple of rotations?
Well, I hate it when Tim takes all my material, first of all, because Brody's got a 310 start value advantage over Asher on the last 2 events, and he said they both go to horse. If Brody hits, he wins this. But man, Asher's a bulldog, and we saw it in training. The kid came in and he was methodical. He was just ferocious in his training. He's not going to go away. Brody makes a mistake, Asher's going to be there.
And remember, it's the first night of 2, so you're not going to win it tonight. The overall all-around title. It's this plus what they do on night number 2, but it's a big statement, no doubt.
And it's even bigger if you say and realize that Asher had a major fall as well.
So Colt Walker getting set in 3rd place after 4 rotations. 2 more rotations left for the men here on night 1 of the OOFOS U.S. Gymnastics Championships in Tampa. Bit of a struggle on the last apparatus for Walker, but now getting set on floor.
So it's all about the landings on floor exercise, and not just not moving, but having good body position when you land. And that was fantastic. Same mount we saw from Asher Hong. Another combination tumbling run that gives him extra bonus tenths. They're called connection points. Quite sure if that was the pass he was planning on doing. Rule change. It used to be your head had to be a fist width from the floor. Now it's the palm, the flat part of your hand. And I would say that that was not exactly in that area, at least a 1/10 of a point. Nice landing. You used to be able to take a little bit more time in the corner here. If you rest for more than 2 seconds, the deduction. Very nice triple full at the end, a small little hop. But the hop isn't the problem, it's his body position as he's meeting the floor. So the judges are evaluating every single aspect. They're looking at form in the air. They're looking at do his feet move at all? Where is his chest?
Get in and you were on your way up and you twisted.
Is that what he's saying right here?
Yeah.
I think it might be, yeah.
So this is unbelievable though. Maybe not quite as clean, little bit of bent knees on that double pipe, but bam, just rocks the house on that landing. This one also difficult, 2.5 twists to double front. That's a bigger hop. That one is 3/10 off. I don't know if this is what he planned to do. This is very, very interesting because it's not as difficult. So let's look at, as he's reaching for the ground with his feet, what is his body position? And you see right there, that is 3/10 of a point. I don't think it should be, but it is.
You don't think that should be?
Absolutely not. No.
3/10. It's
no.
too much.
Yeah, I don't even think that should be a 10th, but that's the rules. If he had stuck that, I would have said maybe you could have gotten a 10th of form deduction in the air, but that's not what the rule book says.
So Colt Walker in 3rd, going into this rotation. So we'll wait for that number. And Lasik getting set next on floor. Part of that Stanford contingent. Just thinking big picture right now, that where we talk about the men really want him to make a push difficulty-wise to match up with the rest of the world. Came in 5th at the Olympics, project ahead to the World Championships without one of the top teams in Russia because of the war they've waged down in Ukraine there. It's an opportunity placement-wise for the U.S. men.
They're absolutely an opportunity, and that 5th place finish that they had at the Olympics, that could very easily have been 4th. They had some errors in that competition that they could have avoided. They're in contention to win a medal, no doubt about it.
14.1 is the number for Colt Walker on floor.
That was an oopsies.
So Lasik Ellis will be next on floor exercise. Rounding out the top 10 going into this rotation.
First time we've seen that today. That's a laid out somersault with 2.5 twists. It's called a Randy. Ian has always been great on pommel horse, so he brings a little of that to the floor exercise, gets some points there. You have to do a non-acrobatic element, and that flare work fulfills that, as does this. It's called a Japanese handstand or a wide arm handstand. Very solid, great confident landings. All about kind of being not winded at the end, triple full. Really nicely done. Got that hop forward. He's gonna suffer the same fate that Colt did, though. His chest is down a little too low on the landing.
Floor exercise champ from the Winter Cup in 2022, Ian Lasik Ellis.
So good to see him flourishing. He has dealt with so many injuries throughout his career and had this huge growth spurt.
All right, Donnell Wittenberg a moment ago on still rings. We'll see what he did here in the 5th rotation.
Well, it can be big, but he has had his struggles here today. And I really didn't anticipate that. He has been around a long time. He's a veteran, and I really thought he was going to look a lot better. That is so hard, going from that Maltese and then going up into a planche. And look at, like Yule, he opens his hands, and that is perfect, the way he did that. Said it a few times tonight. If you're a gymnast, you want to accomplish a lot of things, but it's really cool to get your name in the rule book, Dakota points, and he did a ridiculously difficult dismount, a triple somersault in pike position, something nobody's ever done before at a World Cup, and it now sits in the Dakota points forever. Won't do it here. Double laid out. Hop on the landing.
So we'll get the number for the rings champ from 2016, Donnell Wittenberg, in a moment. Over to floor, and Brody Malone, the leader after 4 rotations, ready.
And this is a good exercise for him. Really, just got to be status quo here and then make it through pommel horse. I've seen this before. Front full with a double pike, and he kind of was a little off on that. 2.5 double front, and you see him squat down. That you got to avoid that. Double twisting, double somersault in a tucked position. See if he is low enough. Should be right near the floor. And that is pretty darn good right there from that.
That qualifies.
Yeah. It's almost not worth doing it anymore. It gives you a 1/10 of a point. Big hop there, though. That's a 3/10 hop. One of the things they did from Tokyo to now, they increased the duration of the floor. You can now go up to 75 seconds, so they can look not quite as rushed in the routine. Triple full at the end, big hop backwards. Just about what I thought we'd see from him. A very strong routine. He can be a little better, he knows that, but right on track.
You like that changed? Greater length of time?
I do. I like it a lot, actually.
And we'll get the number for Brody Malone in a moment. But while we wait for that number, Yul Moldauer just gone on high bar. Check this out.
And like Asher Hong, high bar it's not the best event for Yul. Really has struggled with, and that handstand was not there, with some of the, oh boy, and hits his feet on the bar. That's a big deduction. And now a release. This is improved, no question. One more release right here. This is a routine that Yul is surviving, but he didn't get to the handstand, and he hit the bar with his feet on both of those elements. So, but a gorgeous full twisting double layout and a picture perfect landing.
Which he tends to do quite often.
He does.
So we'll wait for that score, the effort on high bar for Yul Moldauer. Meanwhile, the number for Donnell Wittenberg, 15.422, the highest on rings tonight that we have seen.
A gigantic number and very well deserved. His strength parts were impeccable. They were held well. He had no false grip.
One handstand and a little bit.
There's the fruit, Terry.
Exactly. That's it, throughout the competition and during practice and training
Let's go,
too.
Tay.
Brody Malone 14.616 for the effort on floor exercise. So he's got one more rotation left, and now the number for your Moldauer on high bar, 12.8.
I think they got it right there. It was harsh, but
Move on. Night one. Asher Hong still to come here. Rotation number 5. Waiting on Asher Hong here, the 18-year-old from Texas in rotation number 5. You know, he's headed to Stanford earlier tonight. John caught up with Tom Galimi, the head coach at Stanford, to talk about Asher.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. Like, people have had their eye on him since he was, 3 feet tall, although now he's 4.5 feet tall. And, he's been tremendous. And he jumped into the senior ranks and without a hitch. So I think he'll actually be pushing Brody. So that's going to be exciting for the USA team and exciting back at the home gym.
Great. Thanks, Tom.
They've had some success. 3 straight NCAA team title. Unbelievable.
yes, they have. But this is a big event. He actually has really dealt with this event quite well. Does a high level of difficulty, and it's not really the most natural event for him, like high bar. Maybe he doesn't have as good of a natural build for it. He's a little stocky. Arms maybe aren't quite as long, so he can't get as much elevation above the horse and above the pommels. They actually cut back on the difficulty that they're doing here as opposed to what he did earlier in the season. He went to the Winter Cup, and honestly, I was shocked at how harsh the judges were on his execution scores.
He led early on. He's been in the top 3 throughout. Asher Hong, 2 rotations left. Pommel horse and then still ring. So getting set on Pommel now.
See him fly up to that handstand, pretty good. That one right there, though, he is going to get quite a few deductions on that. Let's see if he can get his swing going now. Wants to be nice and extended. Now he'll go to this single pommel work, which is very tricky. Was a little off on that, but fought. And that was a tremendous fight right there. He was off on those 4 skills that are connected together. They're called flops, and that's a problem. And yeah, you saw that. He just clipped a heel in front on that flare circle, and it takes your momentum from 100 to about 25 in an instant. And then he is just, everything about pommel horse is balance. If your shoulders are in front, your feet have to be way out and back. If your shoulders are leaning forward and your feet are coming forward, that's bad.
The initial contact didn't look like much, but you're right, it took all the momentum away.
It did. And that's too bad because he can hit that routine.
So it won't be the number he was looking for on pommel horse, and he's got 1 rotation left as we take you over to vault, and Fred Richard getting set to go.
He was telling us he might be doing a new vault, but he won't be doing that today. Maybe if he had a really clean meet up until this point, he would have done what's called a Dragulescu, named after the great Romanian gymnast. He'll just do a Kasamatsu with 1.5 twists. It's really 2.5 twists around. Very nicely done, just a small little hop. Gonna get a very solid score.
Really honest talking to him yesterday. He said, yeah, I got big expectations, top 3. That's how I define success here at the U.S. Championships. Now I just really do have to back up those expectations. And
you know, in his mind, maybe he won't think that he has, and he certainly can perform better. And he's got another routine and a whole nother night here. But he has got a very, very bright future.
And you like any athlete in any sport to have that kind of confidence.
Absolutely. And I wouldn't call that cocky at all. He works extremely hard, and he believes in his ability, and he should.
So I got the number for Richard on vault. Over to pommel horse. Shane Wiskus next to go. You think about realizing your dream, making it to the Olympics, and he's one of them who has. And it was a letdown then after that. It took him some while to get motivated once again for this next run at Paris.
Yeah, it's not unusual. You know, you train your entire life for an Olympic Games. Doesn't matter what sport you do it in. That was all you were looking for every single day. You did all of the things you could to be the very best you could be. Then it's over, and you don't come home with any hardware. It's hard. He said he was depressed.
Got used to us talking about it. He had that whiteboard up there with the days counting down until his dream came true. Then had to add a whole year. Obviously, because of COVID, he's got a whiteboard again, counting down the days.
And this is a mistake I don't like to see. His wrist grip, it's not secured tightly. Hopefully that doesn't bother him. He's doing a great job so far. Oh, clip that horse once again. Shane's actually very good on this event, but I really think deep down he lacks a little bit of confidence here. Dismount, gotta fly up. Very nicely done at the end. But having that strap flap around like that, you know, you take a rubber band and you put it on it, or a piece of tape over it. I don't know if that bothered him at all, but it would bother me. You see that? It's just flapping around. And it's a distraction. There's no question right there. Little piece of tape. And you know, I can't say exactly why the errors happened, but this was impressive because he struggled a little bit and was able to do the dismount he planned, which is an upgrade, but absolutely not going to be the number that he wants.
Meanwhile, we got the number for Asher Hong on Pommel horse. 12.2 is that number. So now he's more than 3 points behind Brody Malone.
Yeah, I mean, it would be, you know, Brody would have to not be able to finish his exercise on Pommel horse to not be leading after day one. Yeah, it's good when you're young to have a little adversity too, though. You know, it's
when you were young, you wouldn't have agreed with that.
No, I absolutely wouldn't have. But he's got a phenomenal future. There's no question about that.
You're older and wiser now. You have that perspective. Shane Wiskus 13.15 for what he did on Pommel horse, and 5th overall here on night 1 of 2 for the men at the OOFOS U.S. Gymnastics Championships. Back with a reminder, Sunday the NASCAR Cup Series is on USA. It's off the classic Watkins Glen, where a wild regular season could get even wilder. Who rules the road? Find out Sunday, 3 Eastern on USA. So 5 rotations in here. Night 1, 2022 OOFOS U.S. Gymnastics Championships. There's the lead. Brody Malone, who won last year, made a statement, that big move, putting him in the top spot, and he's there again trying to defend Colt Walker, Asher Hong, the top 3, Moldauer and Shane Wiskus rounding out the top 5. So Terry Gannon back with Tim Daggett with 1 rotation left here in the opening night. No surprise, Brody Malone. Maybe the only surprise is that he was in 10th place after the opening rotation, but you knew, I mean, you said it then, we knew it. He was coming back at least to challenge for the top spot. Remember, night 1, there are 2 nights, so
yes,
you don't want anything tonight, but it's been impressive.
Oh, absolutely. You know, he did have a little bit of a mistake. He didn't hold one of the strength parts that he wanted to do, but besides that, he's just been Brody like Brody always is. He is such a tough competitor. Mentally, maybe even tougher than he is physically, and he is a brute as well.
Went to the World Championships, won a medal there after the disappointment at the Olympics in high bar. Where does he fit in, do you think, in terms of the best in the world right now? I sat right next to you a number of times here at this event, and you said Sam Mikulik is one of the best in the world and can win a medal at the Olympics. How about now Brody Malone as you look to how he compares?
There's absolutely no way I would ever say he doesn't have a shot to win a medal at the Olympic Games. He's maybe a little bit away from it now, but remember, Russia is not competing at these World Championships. That could help him, will help him quite a bit.
First things first, though, the U.S. Championship on the line and trying to take a lead into night 2. There's 1 rotation left. Over to Pommel horse. Lasik Ellis set to go here in the last rotation of the evening.
Nice scissor right to the handstand. No hesitations, what the judges are looking for. So staying on that single pommel, really critical and very, very tricky. Everywhere I've seen him today, he has been just such a tough competitor, young guy as well. But another big routine, finishing strong on Pommel horse. Just about nothing feels better than that.
Ian Lasik Ellis in 7th place in the all-around after 4 or 5 rotations. You see Brody Malone getting set on Pommel horse. How about Donnell Wittenberg going to finish up on vault, Tim?
Yeah, and it's a big vault. The same thing we saw Asher Hong do. It's 3 flips around. It's called a Risegwan, named after Olympic champion from North Korea. And like I said earlier, I never thought that this type of gymnastics was possible. I just really didn't think it could be done. But, you know, people break that 4-minute mile, and then a whole bunch of people break it.
It is wild how that happens.
Yes, it's amazing.
In your mind, you say, oh, it is possible.
So 3 times around, 3 flips with a full twist, half turn onto the table. A lot to get done in one piece of air. Here we go. Oh, very good job. Landing could have been a little bit better. So just so much going on here. Hit that board and then just ricochet off that vaulting table and pull like crazy until your feet hit the ground. That foot over the line, that'll be a 1/10 of a point deduction, but I'll tell you, he was phenomenal on rings and vault. He helps Team USA there for sure.
So we'll see, get his number. He came into this last rotation in 12th, but over to the leader here. One more to go for Brody Malone, his pommel horse.
He's got one skill that's relatively new for him. It's called a Sohn, named after American gymnast Mark Sohn. Right here, full spin around on one, does that really well. Nice rhythm. I always marvel at how Brody has dealt with pommel horse. He does not have the typical pommel horse build. But look at that dismount. And there's champion, night one. Absolutely.
You're calling it.
Oh, yeah, it's a done deal.
Okay. I think you're safe to say that at this point.
Yeah.
All eyes on Brody Malone coming in as the defending champ and has lived up to it here on night one.
You know, I was talking to him, though. He's done a tremendous job really upping his difficulty everywhere. And I said, but so is everybody else. And he goes, yeah, did you see the Chinese guy on rings? And I went, yeah, I saw that. It's unbelievable. They just keep doing harder and harder things.
Well, here's the thing. You spend time around these gymnasts. They're fans as well of gymnastics. And they feel the need to keep up with everything that's going on around the globe, difficulty-wise, and keep upping the difficulty of their own routines.
Absolutely. And, you know, I say it all the time. In gymnastics, there is no defense. So, you know, Brody can't jump up and tackle Yule while he's on the pommel horse. But, you know, it really breeds a level of camaraderie, you know, not just domestically, all around the world that is somewhat unique.
Oh, my gosh. How much card share are you going to have?
Lasik is, by the way, 13.75 on pommel horse. And now the number for Brody Malone, much better, 15.089.
I don't know this for a fact, but I would say that is the highest score Brody Malone has ever gotten on pommel horse by a good amount. A 15 on horse, that's big time.
How about a 16.38 for Donnell Wittenberg on that first vault?
Off the charts.
Yep.
I think he still is going to be in the mix. He didn't have the best of days today, but in two of the areas where he really helps Team USA, still rings and vault, he was spectacular.
As I mentioned, he's going to do a second vault. It will not count in terms of the score, but everything you do counts in the minds of those making team selections for the World Championships, eventually the Olympics.
Yeah, they get back in that room and the selection committee goes, but remember when he did that?
Yeah.
So, not as difficult of a second vault. Asher Hong at a higher level, 2.5, but very nicely done. I know he's working to do a more difficult second vault. That was very clean, though. Great height in the air. But once again, that does not count in the all-around tally. The only reason you do that is because at a major competition, a Worlds, an Olympic Games, to get to finals, you have to do 2 different vaults. So that's the only way you can win a medal.
All right, how about the 25-year-old from Glen Ellen, Illinois, Alex Diab, who's the 2-time U.S. rings champ. His effort on still rings taking place a few moments ago. Let's check it out.
We saw some tremendous strength from Wittenberg, as we've said. Alex is extremely strong as well. That's a new element for him. Makes his maximum score a little bit higher. A little bit of a family affair for the Diabs. His dad is a gym club owner, competed at Iowa State, and is a two-time NCAA champion on still rings. Very nice position. The first strength part that he did, the new element, wasn't as exact, as perfect as I know Alex wants it to be. Dismounts, pretty good. Full twisting double layout. I don't know if they're gonna call that a double layout though. He had quite a bit of pike in his hips, and that is really surprising. You see that 4.2 difficulty. I don't think they gave him that initial element. And so what happens is it takes it away, and then most likely he repeated an element in the routine, so that goes away as well.
That's disappointing for a two-time NCAA champ while he was at Illinois. Now over to floor, Yul Moldauer closes it out here.
Really nice 2.5 twist. Yul can be one of the best in the world at execution and landings. Watch this. This is patented. Yul Moldauer, bam. It's just amazing how well he does that. In 2017, his first ever major international meet at the World Championships, he had one of the lowest difficulty scores in the meet, came home with a bronze medal at his first Worlds. Doesn't want to do that though. The easiest pass in the routine has a little bit of a hop. That should be just automatic. And that is an error right there too. Was not supposed to do that. Going to lose quite a bit on that. Triple full at the end. Pretty controlled landing, hop. And he was good. He was good, but he can obviously be better than he was today. The fall on the high bar, and then also on pommel horse. But without a doubt, Yul Moldauer is one of the stars of this U.S. team. And a very, very, very valuable member as well.
Fourth in the all-around at the World Championships the last time around in 2021, and Yul coming into this last rotation in fourth place.
So this is his easiest pass. Double full, has been doing that for about 15 years. That should be an automatic stick, and he knows that. And the other guys will give him a little bit of ribbing. Triple twist right here at the end. Once again, you see those shoulders bent over. You see the bend in the hips, has the hop. These guys are so similar in many ways, but so different. I mean, you see Yul after he has a big routine, he is just like, he is fired up. He's screaming his brains out, pointing at the crowd, trying to get them going.
He talked about that with us yesterday. He said, you know, I did miss that at the Olympics the last time around. He said, that's what gets me going. When I come in here at the highest level and the place is packed and they're loud, that's what I live for.
Yeah, it's kind of an Oklahoma thing. A lot of the college teams do it. Oklahoma, certainly. It is loud at a dual meet. At Stanford, those guys don't cheer like that. They think it's a better strategy to just stay inside themselves.
Hey, it works for them, by the way. 13.75, the number on floor for Yul Moldauer here. The last rotation of night one of the OOFOS U.S. Gymnastics Championships. Back in Amalie Arena here in Tampa. The final rotation continues. OOFOS U.S. Gymnastics Championships. John Mothlisberger, what do you make of what you've seen tonight so far?
Well, we saw a lot of great gymnastics. You know, Yul Moldauer had a good night. Could have been a little bit better. I think this one here, right here, his parallel bar score, an event where he can really excel at. He left some on the table. And then let's not forget, an event he won a medal on at the World Championships, floor exercise. Those two, I think he's going to want to improve for night two. Obviously, high bar is a weak area for him, but the kid is consistent. He wasn't great at classics, but he comes here, he hits his routines. Now he's just got to get a little more solid in a few spots.
I think he needs a little rest. He has been nonstop since the Olympic Games and just traveling all over, not just the country, but the world. His schedule this past summer and spring, off the charts difficult.
Moldauer in fourth coming into this last rotation. Some of the top names still to come. Asher Hong and Shane Wiskus still. Colt Walker, too. We saw Brody Malone finish up a short time ago. Excellent night for the defending champ. And Richard over on parallel bars. How about this young man in sixth place? He hasn't been perfect tonight by far, but in sixth place overall.
Unbelievable. And he has been far from perfect, to be honest. And I think it's a great strategy. You know, I know there are coaches out on the floor that are going to say he's doing too much too early. It's too hard. But he's going to be doing these super difficult routines for so long, they're going to get easier and easier for him. And he's going to be able to really fine-tune it. When you go to college and you compete in the collegiate season, you basically triple or more the number of competitions you would typically have. Good save there. He was a little bit off on that skill. Big release right here. Nice flight. Beautiful giant swing. Great bopsar. A little bit of knees. That's the thing with Fred. Every now and again, he just has a little bit of soft form. Absolutely gorgeous. Double front somersault. Levon, his coach that's here, and his kind of lifelong coach, Tom Fontecchio, going to be very proud of this young man for a day one U.S. National Championships.
Obviously very happy about what just took place.
Big front uprise to get a lot of power. Nice height on that. And Terry, that hurts when you land on the bars like that.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter if you do it perfect. You land on the upper arms on those bars. Give him one more. Gymnastics 101. Fly high and stick the landing. There you go, Fred.
Yeah. It qualifies as that second one tonight that we've heard. By the way, he won't be going to the World Championships because he competed internationally on the junior level earlier this year.
Yeah, and he, you know, I asked him about it. I said, are you going to be angry if you think you could have gotten there?
Is that Frederick's flips?
And he said, yeah, I'm going to be frustrated. But he says that, you know, he was such a standout star at the Pan Am Games, won a boatload of medals. And, you know, that got him a lot of recognition. He says there's good in that as well.
Saw that T-shirt right there. That's his TikTok name there. And he's huge following on TikTok. He does the videos.
Yeah, they're great. They're very, very entertaining. And, you know, it's not like he wants to show off to the world. He really has a deep love for the sport of gymnastics, and he says he just really wants to help grow it. And he's doing that.
One of the top names. In fifth, coming into the last rotation, Shane Wiskus will finish up on rings.
Rings, a very stable event. You don't see guys having huge fluctuations. All about the strength parts, though. We saw Alex Diab really kind of take it on the chin. Didn't get credit for a number of elements he was hoping to. Let's look at Shane's. I would say that was 2 seconds. That was pretty good. Maybe a couple of tenths here and there for not being absolutely perfect. And once again, that one was a little shorter, I would say. Probably get a 3/10 non-hold deduction on that. Press to a handstand. Swing a little bit. Beautiful. Giant. Another one going in the opposite direction. Just the dismount. Double twisting double. Got to put it in. A little bit of a step. Chest down a little bit. And I think he had that stick. He just doubted himself a little bit. If he had stayed down, kept his knees bent a little bit longer, I think he could have fought and not taken that step.
Get the number for Shane Wiskus here in a moment, but the man who was up there on rings prior to Wiskus, Asher Hong, the 18-year-old, closing out his night here in the opening night of the U.S. Championships.
Come on, Hale.
Remember, very disappointing last event on Pommel horse. But he is strong. Look at that, perfect position right there. It's called an Azarian cross. You know, we've talked about the different gymnasts in this meet that have skills named after themselves that are in the rule book now. So, you know, some of them for a long time ago, like the Azarian on rings. Some just happened this year. The same skill that we saw Brody do. He handles it a little bit better. That inverted cross, but neither of them are where they want to be on that skill. His dismount is harder than just about anybody's because he does it with a straight body. Double, double, laid out. Oh! Once again, nearly had that stuck landing.
See you on Saturday.
14.816. Currently second in the all-around. He was in third going into this final rotation.
Come on, Dallas.
Let's go, guys.
So Shane Wiskus, who was in fifth after 5 rotations, just under 14, 13.9, the number for rings.
That's actually a good score for Shane.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the highest level of difficulty, an 8.4. Excellent execution score on still rings.
And he goes into 4th place. But this man, Colt Walker, his last rotation still to come. Remember, he was in 2nd place going into rotation number 6, just ahead of Asher Hong. And Brody Malone obviously in the top spot right now.
So just for a little bit of perspective, this is not, I would say, one of Colt's best events, but really has done a great job polishing the stone, you know, just making it look as nice as it can possibly be. A little bit, oh golly. And that was a classic overcompensation. He kind of lost his form a little bit, and he tried to make an adjustment, and he just put his shoulders in the wrong place, way too far forward. He's a fabulous gymnast, and oh boy, but this is really bad right here. As I said, it's not his most natural event, but you have 2 falls like that, and he's already 3+ points in the hole on this exercise.
What's going through your mind as a gymnast in this situation?
Well, I would hope he took his whole 30 seconds and gathered his thoughts and rested physically as well. And then it's just, you got to be a fighter. You know, he is very capable of doing this stuff, and great finish at the end, but the damage already done. 2 major falls.
So we'll see how costly that is here in the final rotation for Colt Walker, who had a great night going, was in 2nd place behind Brody Malone heading into this 6th rotation. And Asher Hong has moved up into 2nd. Moldauer is right there as well. Shane Wiskus got some big names right there in the top 5 with him. But it will be Brody Malone who will lead the way into night number 2. A couple of nights away from that, but just the other side of this break, the talking to the defending champ Brody Malone next. The 2022 OOFOS U.S. Gymnastics Championships are brought to you by American Cruise Lines. Small ship cruising done perfectly. By OOFOS Recovery Footwear. Feel the OOF. And by Prevagen. Prevagen is the #1 pharmacist recommended memory support brand. So night 1 in the books. Disappointing final rotation for Colt Walker. 9.6 the score from Pommel horse. So he drops out of those top spots. Brody Malone, though, with that lead over Asher Hong, the young teenager, sensational. How about the move by Donnell Wittenberg as well into the top 3? But the defending champ and the leader standing by with Zoran now.
Brody in the lead after night 1. Let's break down a few events. We'll start with Pommel horse. You said that's probably your best horse routine you've ever done.
Yeah.
What led to the success in the apparatus tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I've been struggling a little bit with that routine and training leading up to this. So I decided to water down one skill instead of doing a 360 Russian. I did a 180. And you know, the flow of the routine was really good, and I felt on. It was, I don't know, when I saw the 15 pop up, I was like, holy moly. Never seen that on horse before. So yeah, it was awesome.
Now let's go to the high bar. That's always been your jam. How'd you feel doing that?
High bar felt pretty good. I was happy with it. First 2 releases felt great. The Tkachevs were a little bit on top of the bar, but I worked with it, and then, you know, gotta stick the dismount. So.
Despite how the first couple rotations went, your composure never wavered. Why are you able to stay so calm?
Short memory. That's what my dad has always told me. You know, I did have a bit of a mistake on rings, and I was not very happy with that performance. But I mean, still had 5 more events to go, so you can't reminisce on that. You got to, you know, put it behind you and get going, get your butt in gear for the next 5.
One adjustment you'll make between now and night 2?
Now and night 2. I'm probably gonna water down the rings routine a little bit because I think we finish on rings day 2, so I'm probably gonna be a bit fatigued. So we'll see though.
Thanks for the time. See you in 48 hours.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Terry?
Zora, thanks. I think he surprised himself on Pommel.
Oh, absolutely. No question. When I saw a 15 come up, I was like, whoa, I don't think he's ever done that before in his life.
But short memory, 10-second, be a goldfish. Ted Lasso, 10-second memory, that's it. That's what he talks about, and he had that tonight. Not that he struggled to begin with, and what a night, though. Defending champ leading the way. We'll have more coverage from the U.S. Championships all weekend. Night 2 of the men's competition beginning Saturday at 7 o'clock Eastern on CNBC. Until then, Tim Daggett, John Roethlisberger, Nastia Lukens, or Stevenson. I'm Terry Gannon. See you again from Tampa here at the U.S. Championships, everybody.